Good morning. It's 6:41 Wednesday, 25 September. Just received full self-driving 12.5.4 last evening. You can see from the release notes, this one has the actually smart summon, which I'll test later when I'm not trying to get to work, as well as the new version of FSD. And again, we don't have details of what's changed from previous versions. And mentions the addition of Live One with Slacker radio and the vision-based attention monitoring previously described in YouTube Music, which showed up on the prior release, as well as Amazon Music and another game. So we're going to drive from South Kissimmee to the Lake Nona area. This time of day, there's a lot of traffic usually, and involves part of the time on the southern 417 loop in the Orlando area. So it's a relatively challenging drive given the degree of traffic that's involved. So we'll see how it goes. It typically takes about an hour. In fact, the GPS right now says it's an hour and 5 minutes and 29 miles. When I publish the video, of course, I'll speed up the boring parts. So we'll get on out of the driveway here. So go ahead and activate the FSD. Let's check and see. We are in assertive mode. So they're supposed to have a hurricane currently projected to hit just north of Tampa in the Big Bend area of Florida, close to Pensacola. Right now it's in the area of Cancun. So we'll have to see if it's going to change the predicted route, but pretty much all of the models show it going that same direction. They say it might be as much as a Category 3 hurricane, which means we'll probably at least get some breeze here in central Florida. In central Florida, hurricanes almost always are mostly in a northern direction. Therefore, if they hit here at all, they cross a significant portion of land, which reduces their strength. At least in the time that I've been around, I'm not sure we've ever had a direct hit that came directly east or directly west, which could be as little as about 40 miles from the ocean, which could cause a much greater impact. But again, they're almost always northbound and cross the beach south of Orlando if they're going to hit the Orlando area. So coming out of the neighborhood, there is a security gate that is motion activated with a speed bump in front of it. Later on, maybe today, I'll test getting through the crossing gate arms, the moving arms, whatever you want to call them, that has created repeated failures on previous versions, to see if that's gotten any better. Those gates tend to be invisible to FSD, and I've had to disengage each time to avoid running into the gate. The crossing arm, actually, the gate's behind the crossing arm. It usually does see the actual security gate, but doesn't see the crossing arm in front of it at the entrances to the neighborhood. This is a pretty big deal because these are the same as railroad crossing arms, and also show up in parking lots, apartment complexes, and gated neighborhoods like this one. In the case of my neighborhood, you're still a mile and a half from home when you come through that gate, since the neighborhood's pretty big. So just in case, I've got my foot hovering on the brake pedal. And we haven't slowed down yet. So you can see a little outline of the gate as we're slowing down, either for the gate or the speed bump, probably for the gate, since we came to a complete stop. So while the image on the screen is not clearly a gate, you do see a hazy line coming across, and the car came to a stop. So it does see it. Perhaps the visualization could be improved a little bit, but it did cross that pretty safely. Another speed bump, and we're slowing down for it. We're recording today with an Akaso camera, 30 frames per second, 4K video. These are very inexpensive action cams with pretty good quality, as you can see. The camera is mounted on a selfie stick wedged between the driver's seat and the center console. As you may or may not know, I've released a book, a novel, which is called Secrets of Potosi, or in Spanish, Secretos de Potosi. It is a fictional adventure based in Potosi, Bolivia, which is a mountain of silver, which was one of the largest and certainly richest cities in the world back in the 1500s and 1600s, and accounted for over half of all the silver imported from the Americas to Spain. The book covers a lot of history of the area, with the opening chapter describing the first contact between the Spaniards and the indigenous people that inhabited that area, and then moving to the present, where our heroes, a doctor and his nurse girlfriend, go on a vacation and get involved in all sorts of mysteries involved in both the history of the area as well as the future of the area and the economic development options for Bolivia, including the energy industry with the large lithium stores that exist in Bolivia today. I think you'd find the book interesting if you're interested in history or South American politics. It's available on Amazon, both for the Kindle and in paperback and hardback. And I'm working on finding some voice talent, if I don't have to do it myself, to create the audiobook, since most of the books I read are done by audio, including this one I'm listening to now, The Gods of Guilt by Michael Connelly, which I also highly recommend. In any case, check the book out. If you like it, leave a nice review. That helps the placement, just like on YouTube. I'm already working on a sequel that is more of a political thriller that will largely be based in Venezuela. That one's almost done, but still working on how the ending is going to wind up, since we don't really know how Venezuela is going to end up these days. I've done a couple of nonfiction books in the past, one called First Sunday, which was a collection of sermons given the first Sunday after the 9/11 attacks, and the other one, How to Steal from a Medical Practice, which is all about embezzlement and how to prevent it in medical or dental practices. Those are also both available on Amazon for Kindle, hardback, and paperback. On average, I listen to about 3 audiobooks a week and have for years. But Secrets of Potosi was the first time I've tried to actually write fiction. But I like stories that teach you about the subject matter, even though they may be fiction. So right now we're still on Pleasant Hill Road in South Kissimmee, about to join up with South John Young Parkway, which will head up into the direction of Orlando, close to downtown Kissimmee. There are going to be 2 right turn lanes up ahead, and we're not in either one of them yet. You can see some cars ahead going ahead and merging over to the right. Normally when I'm driving, I'm already in that lane by now. Usually the FSD manages to get over, but does so later than I would typically do. .1 miles from the turn still. No turn signal yet, but here it comes. And we're making our move, but we're still not over. So that's a pretty late lane change, but I guess that's legal doing so right in the middle of the intersection, since the way was clear. I was thinking it was going to have to blast through the intersection and take another route. But note to Tesla, it would be a good idea to get into those turn lanes early when there's a lot of traffic, because you can't always count on a miracle happening, even though yet again it looks like a miracle happened. So now we're on John Young Parkway, heading northeast bound. In case you're not familiar, Lake Nona is near the Orlando International Airport, actually a little bit southeast of the airport, and is a growing area. There's several hospitals in the area that are relatively new, including Neiman's Children's Hospital, UCF Lake Nona Hospital, and the Veterans Hospital, and the UCF Medical School are all in that area. Lots of condominiums and some houses, a relatively young population, and one of our clinics is based in Lake Nona, which is where I'm heading today. I've got a speed offset set in the configuration to choose a speed that's, I think, 11 or 12% above the posted speed limit. Previous versions of FSD have generally ignored speed limit signs posted on exit ramps from the interstate or turnpike, perhaps in part because those speed signs did not have black text on a white background, so yellow signs and orange signs are generally just ignored. When there's other traffic on these ramps, of course, we maintain speed behind the other traffic, but when there's no traffic, sometimes it hits these ramps at 20 miles an hour or more above the posted speed limit. That does tend to slow somewhat if there are sharp curves on these ramps. But that's been a recurring issue pretty much for every version of FSD since inception. This is not only a problem for exit ramps, it's also a problem in construction zones where speed limit signs are frequently posted in colors other than black on white. We'll have to see if we can get the full drive recorded. Sometimes these cameras will overheat after a while. Doesn't feel like it's very hot just yet. I have it plugged into external power to at least avoid running out of battery life. And you can see we're stopping short of this intersection, stopping at the red light, so we're not blocking the intersection. That's a good move. We're getting close to the city limit of Orlando. Still in Kissimmee at this point. About to cross West Vine Street. We're about 28 minutes from the destination at this point. We're right about the halfway point distance-wise with 15 more miles to go. And just after the traffic light, we will leave Osceola County for Orange County and be leaving Kissimmee for Orlando. Our left lane, and we'll be making a right turn on the Highway 417, which is the southern beltway of Orlando. So we're 1.4 miles away from having to leave this road, so we have that much time to get over the right lane. So let's see how long it waits this time. There's been plenty of opportunity to move over, which has chosen not to. We're at 0.8 miles now. You can see where the turn is here. 0.7 miles. There goes the turn signal. So we got one lane over. Looks like we got another opening here to the right. But the car behind was closing the gap, and we have another traffic light. This on-ramp takes you through a toll plaza. Since COVID, the toll plazas have all been closed using electronic means to track your car, either through reading the license plate or using these stickers up on the window with RFID tags. But in some cases, the physical structure of the toll gate is still there. But all the toll takers lost their jobs, I guess, or got reassigned. Because we have the E-Pass, we could go through either lane, really. Having the E-Pass gives you a discount on the toll. Lately, there's been construction in the area of the on-ramp and off-ramp in this area of the 417, and it's not unheard of for cars to intentionally block you out from merging. Sometimes the FSD has to be fairly aggressive to get over. Now that the sun's shining, I can see the windshield's kind of dirty. Some lane shifting due to the construction. Between the glare and the construction and various skid marks, the lanes aren't obvious to this human driver, but the car seems to be finding them pretty well. Which, considering you can do it in the dark or when it's raining, is somewhat of a miracle still. Some old lane markings have been scraped over, but so far the car's not become confused by that. Six miles from the exit ramp to turn onto Moss Park Road in Lake Nona. Passing by all the hospitals I mentioned earlier. FSD will still give up the fast lane if a car is approaching you closing distance from behind. So we're coming up to the exit here. We're in the next to the rightmost lane. There's a car passing us on the right, and we made no attempt to get over to that lane, maybe because that car was there and we totally missed our exit ramp. You can see it to the right of the cones there. So you may have noticed somehow or another we managed to miss our exit. So we're going up to come back. I was in the middle of handling a phone call from the hospital. So it kind of snuck up on me too, and next thing you knew, we were past it. So we're taking this next off ramp to come back to the exit we should have left on. It was a perfect drive up to that point, other than the very late lane change to turn off of Pleasant Hill onto John Young Parkway, which we'll also have to review. But right here near the destination, we just totally missed the exit ramp. So this looks like from the GPS adds about 5 more minutes to the trip to take this next exit and come back. But sometimes you miss an exit ramp, you're in for a 30-minute delay, depending on how far away the next exit is. So that's pretty disappointing. I was just getting ready to brag on how great a job it did on this hour-long 29-mile drive through traffic, navigating multiple construction zones and more. Again, this is FSD 12.5.4. So maybe I should clip out the last part of this video just to show the failure for people that don't want to watch the entire video to get to it. So it's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. The car thinks the speed limit is 70, and we're going 38 on the on-ramp. Having ignored the speed limit sign on the ramp, as always. So we're getting into the right turn lane. To get back off on the exit we should have gotten off on earlier. Another toll plaza where we don't have to stop. The electronic readers. He's put on the turn signal here at a traffic light. This is a one-way exit ramp from the interstate. Our right turn is beyond the traffic light. The car has already turned the wheel a little bit like it wants to go onto this ramp. But now it's straightening out and going through the intersection as it should. And here we're turning into the office complex where the clinic is. Autopilot navigation complete, so I'll go ahead and disengage at this point. Go ahead and find me a parking place. No, not that one. So let me disengage that. That one was a restricted parking space. Let's pick one of these. I accidentally told it to pick a parking space that was a restricted space. So that's the video for today. A couple interesting failures. Overall did pretty well until it missed the freaking exit. Not doing a great job on the parking because it's not giving me room to open the door here, but it's still in progress. Get us more centered in the space. So that's better. So that worked out. See you next time.